Good day to you. Today I want to have a short discussion on this understanding that science is always data-based and science has to be provable in a laboratory, which is the truth. A scientific statement is made as a hypothesis on preliminary grounds, and then it becomes a theorem on some more evidence proved in laboratory or real life circumstances. It becomes a fact. Now, as for the origins of the universe, the world, ecosystems, and created order, the life systems, and man himself, how scientific is science? So I want to show you that science also incorporates faith at 7 important critical junctures. 1, energy and matter came ex nihilo, and the God of science was the Big Bang. Often people laugh at those who believe in a creator, saying how can things come ex nihilo suddenly? But that's exactly what science says about its origin of energy and matter. It came out ex nihilo. Secondly, science believes, as a matter of faith, that life came from non-life. As we know, there are particles and molecules without life, and science believes life came from non-life. So it's a belief of science, not proved. There was nowhere life was made out of, nowhere they can prove that life can be brought out of non-life. Thirdly, complex DNA molecules came from simple molecules without a cell. So this is the conundrum of science. DNA needs cells, but cells need DNA, which came first. So science believes DNA just came to be. And fourthly, that all the complicated information that DNA has and the intelligent information came without any intelligence, which is also a tenet of faith in science. Fifthly, hopeful monsters jumped, punctuating the equilibrium, was the very word used by Prof. Stephen Jay Gould, because they had no links to connect one genus to the other. So absence of missing links or missing links is the problem with evolutionary science. So Stephen Jay Gould posited and postulated that there was an equilibrium, and then suddenly a hopeful monster jumped the equilibrium. He called it punctuated equilibrium, and a new genus came. For instance, it was all reptiles coming from eggs, and suddenly one day popped out a reptile with feathers, which became birds. Now check the history before you think I am just confabulating. I am not. This is exactly how the science went. I am Dr. Lalith Mendis. I have studied this subject very much, and I was first in the island in the A-level examination in Sri Lanka, believing fully the theory of evolution until I began to examine further. It is also believed languages came suddenly. There's no explanation to how languages came, how multiple languages were formed. Seventhly, science assumes mutations had to be progressive if the theory of evolution to be successful, though all known mutations are regressive. Dewey said so, but by faith, science imagines that there were some progressive mutations that added complex information for one genus to become into another genus. Eighthly, intelligent information designed by scientific faith. So these are the giant leaps of faith science does to explain origin of life. If you want to receive any more clips on science and spirituality, please send me a WhatsApp to 074 211 5011 Or if you are from overseas, plus 94 74 211 5011. You can also download my app Golden Nuggets from App Store or Google. Just like many of you listening, I was also a convinced atheist until I began to question the origin of life and how more complicated information got into our genome. Because the DNA is such a structure, it cannot come by on its own. Those who discovered the structure of the DNA molecule, they have written on this extensively. You can read those books also, how intelligent design had to be. Thank you for listening. The Word of God describes the origin as, in the beginning, God created energy, and then He made the sun and the moon and the earth, and for the earth, and He made water, He made oxygen, and quite a scientific description is there in the first book of the Bible, Genesis. So science assumes that all by nothing everything came. The Word of God says by God everything came. So it's two statements that cannot be verified by science now. It has happened and finished. You have to go back in the fossil evidence to see whether there are any intermediate links that can give credence to the theory one genus gradually came into be another genus. There's no such fossil evidence connecting one genus to the other. That's why Stephen Jay Gould postulated hopeful monster and punctuated equilibrium. You can see how desperate science can get. You also need to know that all pioneer scientists who were responsible for great innovations in the 18th century, Sir Alexander Fleming, Louis Pasteur, and a host of them, they were all believing in a God of order, God who created, so that they can follow the laws of science and get into useful discoveries. And you need to know that Charles Darwin had no formal scientific training. He postulated on the Galapagos Island while he was on an excursion. Look, and for instance, there were certain birds, finch, that they all had strong beaks. So he postulated that strong beaks finches survived because there was a time when berries were difficult to find, nuts were difficult to find, and the strong-beaked ones, they survived. So that is not evolution, but that is natural selection. Natural selection does not produce new species. Natural selection selects who will survive under adversity. So survival of the fittest is true when two groups in subspecies, a given subspecies is more fitted for survival, but it already had the hard beak, not that it came through gradual evolution. So there are so many situations like this that scientifically needs clarification. Please do send me a WhatsApp for more clips of science. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis.